Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Risa, and this is Talent Talk.
On today's Talent Talk, we have world-renowned singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, Kaitlyn Evenson. But before we get to our interview with her,
you got to take a sneak peek of Kaitlyn in action.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Talent Talk. Risa and I are joined by world-renowned singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, Kaitlyn Evenson. Kaitlyn, it is so wonderful to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Kaitlyn, I just want to dive right in because your career is absolutely fantastic, but I want to let the audience in on a little bit about your beginnings. Beginning at the age of 4 in Seattle, Washington, you began studying classical violin, but something happened at the age of 13 when you heard Pearl Jam and you asked Santa that year for an electric violin and an amp. Go into that story.
Yep. As a classical nerd, I was always seeking youthful acts of defiance and ways to rebel, of course. So I started listening to Pearl Jam. I grew up in the 90s in Seattle, so, I get rolled into Pearl Jam and Jimi Hendrix and started listening to more grunge and rock stuff and was so inspired. And then my dad taught me how to improvise being a musician. He taught me how to play guitar solos on my violin. So that's what got it going and got me wanting an amp and got me wanting to play guitar on a violin, basically. Yeah.
And did you write songs from when you were little? Like, can you remember the first song you wrote? How did it come to
be? It was tragic. Yes, it was tragedy from the beginning. Last night,
you remember?
I dreamed I flew away. I flew for many days to feel the warmth of your embrace. The waves that crashed upon the shore would meet us and carry us away. Pretty much something like that.
How is that not a top 10 hit? I mean, and speaking of top 10 hit, you have worked with some of the top musicians and artists in the world, not just the United States. Kaitlyn, you most famously toured with Taylor Swift for many years. I know our audience wants to know how that all came about, and also, you weren't just playing one instrument on that tour. I want to know how many instruments you were playing, because I read that you were playing in one 2.5-hour show, 6 instruments, 4 costume changes for tens of thousands of people. Hello.
We get bored, we have to change clothes and instruments and stuff. We're just very ADD.
It's
like
showbiz. You got to be seen and heard. But Kaitlyn, how did you get the Taylor Swift gig, and how is working with her?
Well, I was just coming from, strangely enough, Ringo Starr on the Liverpool tour in 2008. And then I moved back to Nashville because that gig was kind of based in LA. And I really missed Nashville and it didn't feel like home in LA. No offense, LA. But how did that happen? Okay, I jumped onto a couple of smaller gigs with a couple of American Idol runners-up who were voted off and decided to do country tours. And I don't know how I ended up on that one. You just make a couple calls, whatever. And while we were sound checking, we were going to open for this little girl named Taylor Swift, who was opening for Dierks Bentley at the time. So we were sound checking somewhere in North Carolina in some outdoor festival type stage. And I saw this little blonde girl sitting and watching the sound check and all the empty bleachers, And if there's one human being in the audience, I have to make a fool of myself. I just have to. It's just part of the deal. So I was like, hey guys, let's play another one, So we played and I didn't really recognize her. I just was hamming it up for the one person in the audience. So she came up to me and kind of cut me off at the pass as I was walking down off the stage. And I will never forget, she walked up to me and said, "You're awesome. My name's Taylor." And, you know, shook my hand and she introduced me to her mom. We immediately hit it off and started talking about Swarovski crystals on dresses, et cetera, things like that. And anyway, what I didn't realize is that she watched our show later that night and really liked my performance. And they just, you know, gave me a call to try it out. And, you know, I almost didn't take the gig because I thought, this little girl, I don't know if she's going to do anything. It's probably a dead end. But the one thing, right? Always, I'm never going to be right about that stuff. But I was so tired of touring with dudes. No offense, dudes, but I was starting to look like one, get very haggardly, party on the bus, live on the bus with these guys. I wanted to be with a family for a while, for once. And there's this girl and her mom and her dad. And I thought, it's probably career suicide, but I'll take the gig, you know.
And the complete opposite happened.
I know. I love it. Risa, go ahead with your next question, love.
So you've had like one of the most amazing roller coasters. Can you mention like what a career high would be? Like, I know there are so many, but is there a certain stage that stands out to you, or a certain solo you did that stands out to you? Is it, what would you say? I'm sure there's a handful, but if you could share one.
3 things. Wembley Stadium with Taylor, Royal Albert Hall with Ringo. And then the performance, I will say one thing I'm proudest of was there was on the Red Tour in 2013 or 14, I can't remember. We had 4 shows in a row at Staples Center with Taylor. And those are very high pressure because all the celebs come, all the celebs' kids come, all the reviewers and critics, you know, that you're terrified of. So those are stressful shows. And we're on night 4 and we've come off without a hitch on all 4 shows. She's happy, we're ready to be out of here. Tail end of the show, kind of like a movie or whatever, the climax right there, and then it comes down, we're right up there. And she's changing into a big poofy dress for I Knew You Were Trouble backstage. And I got my moment where she was always kind enough to give me this moment on just about every tour where I go up in the spotlight, everything else is dark, it's just me, you know, black leather clad, knee slide and all that crazy stuff. Well, you know, we have this thing called time code. It's in our little molded in-ears connected to a little pack on our body. And without that timing, no one knows when to shoot the pyro off. No one knows when to open the trap doors that we might fall through. You can't operate that big machine without it. No pun intended. So I'm out there doing this big, long hold. And it's a very long hold where I hit this big long hold and I pause, and then I'm supposed to hear 1, 2, 3, 4 count off in my ears where I dive down the front of the stage and do this knee slide and you know, and then all the dancers come out and then she shows up at the beginning of I Knew You Were Trouble. That moment never came. I played the high note and then I hear in my ears. The whole place froze. The guys, everyone. So I hear in my chit chat mics, everyone talking backstage going, what do we do? What do we do? Oh my God, what do we do? And I'm just standing like this and I hear everybody behind me. And they said, Caitlin, hear me if you can, nod if you can hear me. And I did this, you know, and they said, I don't know what to do. Just get off the stage. And so I turned to go and I hear Taylor and her mic go, no, Kate, don't stay up there. So I stay up and I thought, what am I going to do? 50 of the longest seconds of my life went by.
Yes.
And I decided I'm going to play I Knew You Were Trouble because they're going to recognize that song. And it's the next song that she's about to pop up and play when she's finally in the dress. And so I just, you know, I did the you know, and the kids joined in and the band joined in and I hear the guy operating time code under the stage says, I need 4 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, so anyway, 4 minutes of me tap dancing around up there, but the band joined in and we created something together and we got through it and they rebooted and the dancers came out and the song started. But I was really excited to be able to figure that out and also that it wasn't my fault.
Well, talk about the show must go on.
Do you have chills?
I do. Talk
chills.
about the show must go on. I mean, as a director, I'm like, oh, I would have left that moment in to deconstruct the song for a violin. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is.
You like saved the day, but you did it like with creativity. You're like, let's try something. Let's try.
And I'm sure the critics didn't even know that it was a problem.
That's true.
It went off without a hitch. It was a 4-minute long solo, and people were probably a little bored with it, to be honest, because they were just waiting for her.
I doubt that.
But it got it through it seamlessly, and she was so over the moon about it, and that made me really happy.
Well, Caitlin, we have so many other questions for you, but we want to get to one that's very important to us. Caitlin Evanson, are you ready for game time?
Yes.
Well, Caitlin, today is your lucky day. Risa and I both have our questions book, and what you're going to do now is let us know of a favorite number of yours, and then Risa is going to ask you the question that is next to that number in our questions book. Go, Risa.
What is that number for you, Caitlin?
42.
If you could be any animal, what animal would you be?
Today, probably a flamingo.
Why is that?
I think that's the closest thing to being able to live in a cartoon body.
This is so stupid. Do flamingos fly?
I don't even know, but those
I don't know the answer either, but
legs.
Oh. I have no idea, but what a beautiful bird.
And a very long-legged bird. I love it.
It's a bird, right?
Yeah, and they're very gangly, and like when they walk, they kind of.
Do they put their head in the ground?
Yeah, in their wing to sleep.
God bless. And I can't believe I asked, is it a bird? Thank you, Boston College degree, for that. Well, Caitlin, because Risa and I both love so much your answer, we are going to be giving you, courtesy of the presenters of Talent Talk, a $20 gift certificate to the coffee shop of your choice. Is there one in Nashville that you go to most?
There is.
What's it called?
What's it called?
I love the Frothy Monkey.
I love Frothy Monkey too.
The Frothy Monkey?
Yes. I didn't want to say barista parlor because they're terribly overpriced and a little bit hipster. So.
I agree with that. Which one do you go to, Franklin or 12?
Well, there's a Frothy Monkey 2 blocks from my house.
Oh, where do you live?
I live right on, I live in East Nashville, very close to 17th and Fatherland, very close to there. So it's just like a couple blocks away.
Yummy, yummy.
Before we go, I want to know, and I know Risa wants to hear it as well, being a friend of yours, and now me being hopefully a new friend of yours, you are also an amazing singer-songwriter. And I would love it. Old school acoustic guitar style, singing an original tune of yours. Is there anyone that you would love or that we would feel honored to hear you play us out with?
Yes. And it's a very simple song. How convenient. I have my guitar close by.
Stop it.
This is a song called Grow. It's on Spotify. It was written for kids, but ended up kind of being for grown-ups too. So it's called Grow, and I'll just give you a little taste. Grow like a mountain wildflower, grow. Grow in the rain and the sun that comes and goes. And when you feel lost in the wind, just know you will bloom once again. And so when you don't know what to do, just grow. Ba-da, ba-da, da-da, 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 da-da.
Woo! Oh my goodness. I could like see that as like a song on like an animated short Oscar-winning movie called Grow.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like, I'm not kidding. You know, Risa, my crazy ideas. Like literally, I literally saw that, I mean, Caitlin, am I off track and you think I'm crazy
No,
too?
you read my freaking mind in my wildest dreams. That's where the song would probably go. Yeah.
Are you kidding? Do you really agree?
No, 100%. That's like my dream thing where that song, I immediately think animation. I think,
Gosh, Will, I think you're a song psychic.
I've been called a lot of things. One of them is being somewhat good instincts of collaborations. And I think, Caitlin, we need to collaborate on this animated short before someone else steals the idea. Well, Risa, before we go to my love, you bring each and every week the best artists. And I'm so grateful to have you as my partner in crime on Talent Talk. And once again, you nailed it.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Everyone we know, they're just so beautiful. And it's so awesome to have this show to be able to hang out on. So thank you, Will. And thank you, Caitlin.
Caitlin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Mwah!